All right, we are live.
What's up, guys? Shawn Bowen, Full Circle Investment Group with some new swag and wholesalingoutofthebox.com. Back in here for another lunchtime live. And today, just like the title says, we're going to talk about driving for dollars and what the benefit is, what the pros and cons are. Okay. So, reading over my notes here. So when you're driving around for properties, you want to make sure that you're going to specific areas and for specific reasons, right? This way, you know you're going to areas that you've already done the research on. You know that you're going there because it's a moving market. You see sales. You see numbers for, let's say, 90 days, 60 days that you can see sales of like lower sales than what retail sales are, right? To allow you to see where buyers are. And also knowing that that's a moving market where I should go find deals for two reasons. One, I'm driving in a specific spot. And number two, I'm looking in an area where I know guys are already buying. So I'm not guessing. Okay. So as you guys are coming on, if you would, please leave us a comment. Let us know where you're hearing this broadcast. We should have this on our YouTube channel, or no, we have it on Facebook and Virginia Wholesale Real Estate, and we have it in our private group. So again, let's get back to what we're talking about here on driving for dollars, right? Being specific and what you're doing for why you're going to specific areas, okay? So the way I recommend this is if you don't have, like a lot of things that are floating around nowadays are like PropStream. People that don't have MLS are using Redfin, Trulia, and I think the other one was Zillow, the common one. So those are the ones that most people are using, okay? So guys, as you get into this, what I want you to do is look in the criteria of go look at the full 365-day picture. That should give you your retail, right? And then from there, dial back. Go 180 days, watch your bubbles get less, and then or 90 days, watch your bubbles get less, right? And I think the least you can do is, I think, 60 days. I don't think they go as short as 30. But then you'll see these numbers, guys. This will allow you to know, like, hey, these are the areas I should be driving to. These are the areas that I know activity's in. And you can almost set your number up before you even go, right? So let's do a quick calculation. If you're saying ARV is $250,000, okay, and we're going to use what we do is 70% loan to value. So 250 times 70%, we're at 175. And if we say worst case scenario, we have a $50,000 reno. Okay, we'll take 175 minus the 50 grand, and we're at 125. And let's just say we want to make a $10,000 wholesale fee, right? So we'll take the 125 minus the 10, and now I'm at 115. So guys, this is the number. You know, if this is a area where you got 2 stories, maybe it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, and you happen to drive by and you see a for sale by owner sign, or maybe the house just looks really beat down and you're on a certain app where you can actually skip trace it quickly, see a number, try to call it. And the seller says, I'm not taking anything less than 150 grand. You already know the number, right? So do this in 2 folds. Do it in 2 different levels. Do it at your 2,300 square foot home level, and then do it under that, which most homes are in between like 12 and 1,500 on the single story ranches. So this is going to allow you guys to start going to the right areas, right? You will be more defined in what you're looking for and going to the areas that you're not wasting a lot of time, right? This is a reverse engineer of where you're going, okay? So let's talk about some of the pros and the cons here. So the pros are you're building a very unique list for a targeted area. You can get help from other neighbors, right? And you can pay someone to do this. Maybe I hear guys talking about, and we don't do this, I'm just talking about what's kind of floating around the market. You got Uber drivers, you've got guys that are working for Amazon that are out and about driving these delivery routes all day. If you have the ability of knowing some of those guys, do you have a process that you could give them a link where they could take a picture, fill in some quick information, and then send it to you that allowed you to maybe drop it into a CRM or drop it somewhere where it was like a Google form, something that would be simply of ease, okay? And if you get something of that, you pay them a fee for doing it. The other part about this part with getting help from neighbors, You'd be really surprised at while you're cruising around and doing these things, as either you have a logo on your car or you don't, but you start to be known as that person because you're in that neighborhood all the time. Well, yeah, that's Shawn. He's looking for properties that are run down, and you happen to go next door. And the way I look at this is, if you stop at a property and you look at it from a star standpoint, right? Maybe even like a 5 or 6 point standpoint. I look to the left, to the right. And then if I turn around 180 degrees, I'll look directly behind me and left and right. So I should be able to see roughly 5 different locations and go knock on the door, ask the seller if they know anything about the property. You'd be really surprised how most neighbors are pretty in tune with each other, or maybe they're just nosy and they want to know what's up, that you could get some information, right? It could actually lead you directly to the homeowner, okay? And you're not having to skip trace. You're not having to do that kind of stuff. This is a really good way of finding deals, guys. Now let's talk about some of the cons. This is a take a lot of time scenario, because you want to do the data mining ahead of time, right? So that you're not just randomly driving to some neighborhood, right? The stress isn't always a motivation to sell. There's maybe there is a type of distress, but you're going to be able to know that. You won't know until you really start to get the person on the phone. And this is a lot of planning ahead of time. So this is how you need to plan this out, because if you don't, you don't know really where you're going. That's the con of this. So you need to take the time to build these little roadmaps, or these little, let's say I'm going to pick 4 subdivisions in my area. I don't know, like if you're in Norfolk, okay, let's use it as an example. And you've got an area in Norfolk that says, I know that within 50 miles of me, I have seen these little neighborhoods that look like little pockets of fix and flip areas. Okay. Now you can start building a map that says, I'm going to start driving those, right? So one that we've recently used was Driving for Dollars, and building that map ahead of time and saying, I'm going to go cruise that neighborhood and I'm going for 25 houses. Right. And then just throwing a number out here, guys, to start our starting point. So what happens if you get 25 houses, and of those 25, you actually get in contact of, let's just say 10. And then from there, you actually get 5 that are interested. And of that, you get to 2 appointments, which you get 1 contract. Well, you now have a starting KPI, or a key performance indicator, that says, if I go to the next neighborhood, I need to at least try to get that many, and try to get that same qualification, try to get that many people say yes, or either go on an appointment, right? This is all the process of learning this, but being defined in what you're doing is very important, okay? So defining going to these markets is probably the biggest save time that keeps you from not wasting time of, after you've planned it out, you actually follow through with it, right? So a lot of people are saying, like, Shawn, I don't have any money, or you hear a lot of guys talking about the Driving for Dollars, but they're not specific to what they're doing and how and why. So defining that neighborhood is really important. And then what are you looking for when you're doing these Driving for Dollars? You hear a lot of guys talking about common things through the summertime, which is tall grass or overgrown weeds, trash in the yard, newspapers in the driveway, maybe trash cans that the neighbor pulled down, they never pulled back up, right? The other one I like to tell the guys to look for is when you're cruising down, and if you're fortunate enough to see a power line running across the street, and hopefully have the power box outside of the fence, you can see it, and look over and see that little red tag on it, that means no power is on, right? That's a really good indication that there's either distress or nobody's in the home. That's a big one, guys, okay? Obviously, if you've got boarded up windows, that's an issue. If you see a tarp on it, that's an issue. What if you've got a property where there is tons and tons of stuff in the yard, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that they have to sell, but maybe that's just that type of person and that's how they live. But maybe there is some distress there. You won't know, right? But that's an indicator. There could be. So all of these are what should get you in the direction of finding a deal, or your first deal, right? Now let's talk to the ability, or what you maybe want to do to step this up a little bit, okay? So what if you can hire somebody, and for every house and address they send you, you give them a fee of some sort, whatever this works for you, I don't know. But say you're going to pay them 25 cents a lead, okay? Now you give them routes to drive to get so many leads. And you got to make this a process. You got to make this easier than not. So if you're not in a CRM, Google Forms is a really good one, right? You can create a Google form and put in, say, 3 or 4 pieces, right? I need the address, I need a picture, and I need a little description of the property, just as far as like what's wrong with it, right? Then this will go into a Google form where the information can be pulled into an Excel doc. And now you can start to skip trace those and then start to build traction off of so many, right? So let's think about this. If it's 0.25 cents a lead and fitting the criteria that you described to this person you're teaching or having doing driving for you, and let's say 0.25 times 25, you're at $6.25, right? So is this worth your time to pay this person because you don't have the time and the ability to do it, and it fits them because maybe they're available during the day? Think about this in a scheduling fact. What if you have somebody that you can find through a marketplace or an ad of some sort that says, hey, I'll pay you so many cents per lead. You're going to do these driving routes. That person might not work during the day. They might work in the evening, right? Or maybe this is where you have the ability of somebody else that just needs this like a little small part-time job. This is a way of, because it doesn't fit your schedule, then you can do this. This isn't the end-all be-all. You can't just have these people do it. You need to have done it yourself, understand how it works in the process, and kind of like try your process you're going to teach somebody how to do, be able to make a video of training how to do it, and then give it to somebody. That is a very important process. So all of this, guys, is to get back to how driving for dollars is a cheaper way to go and build leads. It is time consuming, but what is your time versus what's your money that you have available? You know, if you're doing the bandit signs, it still takes time. If you don't have the money to buy the bandit signs, then you need to be driving for dollars to find those leads. The one thing that I will say is if you're defining these markets and you're defining where you're going first, you will be more apt to find a deal that way than just randomly picking a neighborhood because it looks old, it looks run down. And think about it this way, guys. If you can deal with a home that's $20,000, $30,000 and make $2, $3, $4,000 as a wholesale fee, you can deal with homes that are $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 and making $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 wholesale fees. The same headache comes with both sides, right? So again, today's talk is discussing everything we can about driving for dollars and what to do to reverse engineer how you're going to find your deal, right? Or go find a possible motivated seller. This will give you more traction. It does take the time, and it's a little bit, it's more directed, right? But all of this, at the end of it, you got to figure out your balance. If you don't have money to do marketing, you don't have money to send mail, you don't have money for bandit signs, you got to figure out something to generate leads. And if you're just going to buy leads, you're fishing in the same pool that a lot of other guys are, okay? But if you're going out and actually building those leads yourself, this is giving you that traction. And then we get into the whole part of where you putting that information, skip tracing it, and then, of course, following up with them, because that's the important part, right? So, guys, if you're looking in for skip tracing, you can check us out at wholesalingoutofthebox.com. We do provide a service for skip tracing. We have our guy, and we do make a little bit of money in between. And I think we're still under whatever the market value is. I want to say we're at like 10 cents a skip. And I think right now, as of last week, I think we were at like an 82 or 83% hit ratio, meaning like you get 4 to 5 numbers and actually contact that guy or that lady, right? Or the person you're looking for. So guys, again, thank you so much for joining us on our Lunchtime Live again today. I really appreciate it. As always, if you would, leave us a comment. Looks like we had somebody in here a little while ago tell us they're from Fredericksburg. That's awesome. Guys, I love to see where people are coming in from. And then this information getting out to people. You know, I get people reaching out to me and been watching you for a year, 6 months. You know, I love the feedback, guys. Let us know where you're coming from. Let us know what questions you have and if there's anything we can help you with. Again, if you're interested in things that can help you in the wholesale industry or the wholesale business, you can check us out at wholesalingoutofthebox.com. One of the big things we are doing locally, and we've been doing locally for a while, and now we're virtual with it, is doing the meetings, right? So you can come and do our property walkthroughs and learn how to estimate your numbers for rehab in order to make your offer to your seller. You can come and join us at our office meetings where we deep dive into specifics on systems and processes And then we do role playing at the last hour. That's a really big one. A lot of people really enjoy that. So again, wholesalingoutofthebox.com for all those resources. And guys, as always, we're here to help you. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. I was able to talk to a few different people, reached out about some different ideas and some things they posted in the group. Actually had some really good talks. So I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for watching. And as usual, we'll see you next time. Later.